Hello, hello, testing 1, 2, 3. This is G. We are going to take a little walk together. We're going to stroll hand in hand like we always do through the energetic weather for the month of November. November 2020, we're going to take a look at what it has in store for us. What sort of a season will it be? Cloudy, rainy, snowy, windy, mild, 60s. We'll see. We're going to take a peek. Before we get there and do that, I've had a few people asking for special requests to take a look, an energetic overview of October, but more specifically the end of October, because we have another full moon in October. Normally you have like a full moon and a new moon in a month, because between the full moon and the new moon, the lunar cycle, there's a 2-week period. However, for October of 2020, October doesn't disappoint for the year of 2020, because the year of 2020 is rare. It's different. And so many of the experiences and happenings in 2020 are unlike that you've ever lived through before. The month of October, providing us with 2 full moons, is significant. And that the second full moon, the first one, of course, happened October 1st, which is, part of the reasoning, because we had such an early event, a celestial event, a full moon in the very beginning of October. And then we had our new moon on October 16th. And then we have our full moon on October 31st. If you pull the attention of your eye up there in that left-hand corner of the screen, there's my little cursor. October 31st, the 2020 full moon. Here's what that looks like. You'll see a full moon. What makes a full moon is when we have the moon, which is this crescent here, is at the opposite end of the sun. And the sun is this circle with the little circle, the big circle with the little circle on the inside. All right. And they match degrees. And when they're at opposite ends, see, sun over here, moon over here, that's an opposition. But when it's a sun and moon opposition, we call that a full moon. That's what makes up the full moon. And they match perfectly in degrees. Okay, so the sun takes 1 full day to move a degree. The moon trucks along and moves 1 degree every 2 hours. And so eventually the moon catches up to the sun. And it's that exact point when they catch up to each other. And when they have those matching degrees, that's the moment where it's a culmination of energy. And when we understand what the moon represents, and then we understand the sign that it's in, we get more details of what this is going to mean. The moon, anybody out there, what does the moon represent in general, right? Start commenting, start replying back down below. What does the moon represent? Our emotions, right? The moon represents our family, our tribe. And this can be people that we are not blood relatives with. And I keep saying this over and over every video, I feel like, because there are so many of us that connect with others, right? We connect with people in the workplace. We connect with people that we worship with. We connect with people that we engage in sports with or extracurricular activity, or that we're creative with. We find people that we talk with on social media like we've never even met them. But there's this crazy connection that happens and we don't even get it, right? We're confused by it, but somehow we know it's there. We know there's this underlying emotional bonding that somehow is. And it is that connection, that emotional connectivity, it takes us back. It's almost as though they're a sibling in some way. They're somehow part of the family unit. And they feel like family on some level. And so we become emotionally tethered. It's a tie. And when we talk about emotions, there's feelings, there's empathy, there's understanding. Okay? Understanding. And at this time, we see that the moon is at 8 degrees and 38 minutes. And it's in the sign of Taurus energy. And when we talk about the Taurus energy, that'll then add more details to the emotions, and emotions around what? Well, that's why we would look to see what sign that it's in. It's going to be a full moon in Taurus. Taurus energy represents my values, what I value, valuing myself, my income, my money, my literal material values, the way that I receive, my ability to receive. And this has to do, yes, with not just income, but your ability to receive love. We associate love when we say values and receiving love. Venus rules the sign of Taurus. And we've heard a lot about Venus lately. Venus has been a key player recently because Venus, yes, this is Venus up here in Libra. Libra is the sign of balances. Venus looks like this little being without antennas. This is a feminine energy. Venus, at the time of the full moon in Libra, is significant. She rules Taurus and she also rules Libra. So there's a big understanding, it's called mutual reception, mutual receptivity. The moon in Taurus is intimately linked to Venus at this time, right? Because, well, think about it this way. Venus rules this sign. Venus rules this sign. Basically, Venus is the boss of Taurus. Venus is the boss of Libra. So what that means is the moon, in essence, is like reporting in, giving information, sending feelings and emanations to Venus, okay? And knowing where Venus is located at the time of the full moon will be important. It gives us more details to what the full moon is about. So we talk about love and values and just things we cherish, resources, our money, our income, but also who we love. And then we see that Venus is over there in Libran energy, and Libran's all about relationships, significant one-on-one relationships. I'm over here, my significant one-on-one, my partner's over here, right? And to make things work, we have to compromise and we have to both kind of walk and meet each other in the middle right there, right? Therefore, we establish a sense of balance. It's all about being fair, about justice, equality. It's a big deal, big deal. And that's in relationships. Also recognize this has to do with businesses, okay? Business partnerships as well, that seventh house energy. Business partnerships. Anytime you sit down with somebody. So it's also consultations, significant one-on-one relationships. Many people call this the sign of marriage, right? Because this is where your seventh house location is. Venus rules that area of your life. And it's all about being able to be the diplomat, which means I can hear what you have to say. I can understand that which is important to you. And at the same time, I'm able to communicate, I'm able to talk to you and tell you what's important to me. And I have an air, I have a sense, I have a willingness to say, I want to hear what's important to you, and I want you to hear what's important to me. And I want us to figure out a way to work this out. I want us to say, hey, I'm willing to bend in this area, right? So that you can have this. And you're then going to be willing to bend in this particular area so that I can have this. It's called compromise. It's the art of compromise. Digging deep, finding those things out, understanding those better is crucial. And that's what Mercury is partially doing at the same time. Because here we are, we're looking at the end of October, we still have Mercury in her retrograde. Mercury started the retrograde at 11 degrees and 40 minutes in Scorpio energy, and then it goes backwards, and it goes back to 25 degrees of Libra. Mercury will not get back, okay? It will not get back to its original point before it began retrograding. It won't get back to that 1140 degree, we'll just say 12 degrees in Scorpio until November 20th. Now, this is important. Okay, because we have an election here in the United States. And we're all wondering, okay, what the heck is that going to mean? Because when Mercury goes backwards, okay, it usually signifies something got lost, something was misplaced, something was overlooked. There was a T that was not crossed, an I that did not get dotted. There was something that we looked at and we somehow, our eye missed it. We didn't see it. There was a piece of paper on the table. The wind came in, blew it off, and it got blown underneath the table, behind the desk, under a book, or the cat's sitting on it, and we just don't see it. We think, okay, that's it. We're done. We have all the information we need, right? Everybody walks out of the room. All of a sudden, the cat gets up and strolls away. And there on the desk is this piece of paper that had this information that you were looking for. So Mercury's job is to go backwards and go get that piece of paper, to go get that document. We will take a quick peek at the United States chart and see where's Mercury doing this retrograde, because it's during the election time. Wow, Mercury's the one who collects the information. Well, that is when we're thinking about filling out ballots and handing them in, who's collecting that information? Like that person, that's the mercurial job. I'm the one who's keeping score. I'm the one who's keeping track of the data. I'm the one who's marking the tallies on the board. That's Mercury. That's Mercury's job. Recognizing Mercury goes back to 25 and then comes forward, Mercury does not reach that retrograde, the end of its retrograde zone, we call that, the 11, 12 degree mark, until the 20th of November. So that means, folks, that on November 3rd, November 4th, November 5th, it's not until November 20th where Mercury has made it back. So what you can expect in your life on a very personal way is there will be some sort of information, something that somehow got overlooked, or something that just additional information in your life. Because many times, if something's missing, you don't even realize it's missing, right? It's not until the information comes later on and you're like, that's just what I needed. It is a communication of some sort that got misplaced. So remember, Mercury retrogrades are all about a review, a chance to look over something, a chance to rethink something. Some people call it a redo. I like to call it reruns, because many times we have to reread the book or rewatch the movie to catch these little nuggets, right? When they're so loaded, there's so much information coming out. And it comes out fast, because that is also Mercury. Information that comes out really fast. So when we get to go back and look through the details, that is a Mercury word, the details, that's key, the details, right? As they say, the devil is in the details, because you can just look over the big picture of something, and on the surface, it looks wonderful. The plan, it's a great plan. But then when someone has to sit down and study it, they realize, wait a minute, there's something not quite right, or there's something missing, or hey, this doesn't make sense, right? And that's a big thing with Mercury. It should make sense. It's a very logical sign. It's all about the rationale. What happens with the full moon? Okay, at the end of the month, the full moon, yes, it's on Halloween, and you also see there's a planet here that I didn't talk about yet, and that is Uranus, okay? But before we dip into Uranus, we understand now that the moon is family and emotions and feelings. A full moon always, typically, regardless of what sign it is in, it represents a culmination, a closure, because we have a rise in the emotions about something. And because the sun is opposing it, it literally adds energy to the moon's emotions. Therefore, we have a heightened sense of feelings. Now, this would be significant for you if you have your chart in hand, okay? And if you look at the sign of Taurus in your chart, you're looking for these degrees around 638 and 1041. 6 and 11 degrees will give that area of where you want to look to see, because the moon will be traveling along, Uranus is there, and you'll know, because you'll feel it. But some folks would like to know this in advance. That way you can you know what to expect. And normally that would be stormy waters, stormy emotional waters, shocking emotions, because that is Uranus. It's surprises. Uranus is expect the unexpected. Okay? Expect the unexpected. Now, Uranus also is science, but it's also flight and aviation. It is in the sign of Taurus, right? So we have to weave in the meanings of Taurus, and it's things that you value, emotions about things that you value, shocks and surprises over things that you value. Could be shocks and surprises with your money. All right. And so your emotions obviously would be elevated. These may be good surprises. They may be not so good surprises. The way to figure that out is see if you have a birthday planet, meaning when you were born on your birthday, did you have something here? Because the more objects, the more planets that are at a point, the more intense it is. It's more compounded energy. And when we talk about the moon, elevated emotions and shocks and surprises, for somebody, if they have a trine in their chart and no squares to this, for somebody that could be like a surprise party, a birthday surprise party, right? Or some other surprise party. It could be that. It doesn't have to be all doom and gloom. But the way we look for the things that are more stressful, we call those squares. And squares are 90 degrees away. So when we're looking at a chart to count 90 degrees out, a really quick way, this is our point of 0, and we're going to go to the right. So we go right, we're looking at roughly 9 degrees. So we go 30 in Gemini, 60 in Cancer, 90 in Leo. So if you have something in 9 degrees, right, or between the 6 and 11 degrees of Leo, that squares this full moon on Halloween. Likewise, the opposite way, we'll go 90 degrees away, bottom left-hand side, 30, 60, 90 in Aquarius. That's the sign of Aquarius. So if you have something in Aquarian energies between 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 degrees, around that time, that will feel stressful. We can't forget about Venus. Venus rules this, and it's about relationships. You see that? Because Venus is over here. This is her ruler, and she's here, meaning Venus has this Taurus energy and this moon really thinking about that. Venus is a big conductor of that energy. It's like she is the one who is receiving amplification of what I value. So what that means is the Venus up in the sky, which is what this is, will be really honed in on what do I value in these relationships, in business relationships, in love relationships, right? What is fair? What is just? How can we establish this to be more fair? And how can we establish this to be more just? Remember, Venus is all about things being peaceful, and it's about being diplomatic. So having good communications. Okay, I just read something the other day, actually, under a comment under somebody's video. It was interesting. It was a lyric. It's one of my favorite channels, Healing Frequencies. If you haven't been there, go check them out. It's in all caps, Healing Frequencies. They do this very awesome visual that I love. I'll just sit there and not even listen to the music. I'll actually watch the visual for like 3 minutes. They're usually pretty short. On every blue moon, you get a nice long one. Anyway, the visuals are healing. You get the beautiful visual, but then it's accompanied by a beautiful song. And I like to divide it up. I like to watch the visual first, and then the second time around, I add the music while watching the visual. And then sometimes I'll just close my eyes and just listen to the music a third time. Anyway, I get a lot out of it. The person who runs that channel, I don't know who they are. They're very optimistic, very beautiful. They spread light. They're very communicative. Anytime you make a comment, they comment back. And so I love that aspect about them. Why is it the first person to ask for something is always the last one to give back? And I thought, wow, well, this is a real Libran thing right now. The theme of Libra, the theme of Venus, which is, let's make sure there's a balance in that. Let's make sure nobody is giving too much and not receiving back. Let's make sure that the word reciprocation is there and becomes prominent and is discussed. Now, in your chart, if you want to know if you have a trine, okay, we're looking for trines, and I'm going to go into detail about this because I had a question from somebody. It was a specific request about this full moon. It was Eric Williams. Eric, if you're out there, please comment below and let me know. You asked, how is this full moon at the end of October going to affect you? I already described the square. So if you have something in your chart that's in 10 degrees roughly, okay, between the 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 degrees, the fixed signs, which is Leo and Aquarius, that's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to be uncomfortable. Uranus is really a rebellious energy. Okay, on a very high level, it's rebellious to the degree on a high level where it says, I'm not going to follow the pack because it is group energy. It says, I need to think outside of the group. I need to be the individual who can stand outside of the group, do what's me, shine, be comfortable in my own skin, find out about me being this unique individual, being strong enough to shine and to stand out within the group. And then finding that way where you can use your uniqueness that actually gives back to others, where they can come to you and say, wow, you shining and you being this way, it helped me this way, right? And so that's what that is. That's that. How do I operate within the group without sacrificing my individuality, right? You become individuated, which is all about allowing your divine degrees to shine, and you will stand out. That's that Uranus energy. And so that point of how do we stand out? Remember, what happens to a seed in the ground, right? It's a very big thing when it has to literally break out of the actual casing of the seed. It's a big deal, but it's not smooth. Like there's cracks that occur, and that happens. And that's what this is. There's like a breaking out of something. And that when you break out of something, it's like you're breaking out of the personality, you're breaking out of the shell of how you grew up, of others' beliefs impressed upon you, whether it was family and friends and peer pressure as you grew up. We all went through it, right? And it makes sense. But then as we get older, we learn, okay, how do we become more confident in our skin? And so Uranian energy has this rebellious, this very individualistic feeling to it. But the point is you don't want to use it in a way where you're being rebellious just for the sake of being rebellious. That's just all about, hey, I can break rules. Whoop-de-doo. Show me something. Really show me something. Do something with it that's productive. Do something with it that elevates it. Create something with it, because on a high level, this is the inventor, right? This is Nikola Tesla. Way ahead of his time, right? Bringing down downloads from the mind of God, okay? And that's what this energy is. Advancements for humanity. How to channel that power that helped the group. And that gives you more of an understanding of what this Uranian energy is all about. We want to see, can we find a trine? A trine adds ease. It's like something just lands in someone's lap. You don't have to do a whole lot of work. Well, a trine would be this. It would be Taurus, which is earth, the elements, a matching element. Okay, it's 120 degrees away, but you can see very clearly what the trines are because they are matching colors. Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. So we're looking for the same degrees. If you have something in Virgo energy between 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 at the most. And the reason we're going so big is because it's a 2-degree orb. 2 degrees away from that 8 is 638, and 2 degrees away from 841 would be 1041. And in essence, 1041 is 11 degrees. So if you have something in Virgo at those same matching degrees, it'll trine this. If you have something in Capricorn at those same matching degrees, it'll trine this. And if you have something in Virgo and Capricorn, that means you have a grand earth trine. You see the triangle that would create? That would be a grand earth trine, and that would be extremely lovely. So, Eric Williams, in your own chart, check that out and see, and let me know. And the thing is, where is this in your life? Where is your Virgo energy? If you have matching planets, if you have a planet that matches those key degrees I mentioned, so Eric, if you're out there, where is your Capricorn energy? What house is it in, right? Where is your Virgo energy? What house is it in? What house is your Taurus energy in? The house number that it's in will tell you the where in your life. But understanding that Taurus's ruler is Venus, and in your own personal private chart, to get more definition on what this would mean for you, you find out where is your natal Venus in your chart, okay? Because depending upon what sign she's in, then helps you, and knowing the meaning of that sign, then helps you to fill in more details here, okay? It helps you to fill in more details of how that Taurus energy expresses. But now I want to talk about November. Actually, you know what? Let me go take a peek at the United States chart first of all. That's what we wanted to see. We wanted to look at the United States chart. Now the full moon, again, we know it's over here, right? 10 degrees. The moon's going to catch up. And it's going to be right there. And you see the sun, right? Already there at 8 degrees. Once the opposition begins, it'll be at 8:38. But we're going to look for the fixed energies. And what did we learn the fixed energies were in the last chart we looked at? We learned that the fixed energies were going to be in Leo and Aquarius, right? That's our shortcut. Look for the other fixed energies. The 4 fixed energies are Leo, Scorpio, Aquarius, and Taurus. All right. So we are going to look for the same matching degree in either Leo or Aquarius. Well, a quick look over here shows that the United States has their North Node at 636 in Leo. So in other words, this full moon conjunct Uranus will square the United States North Node in Leo. And it's the United States natal North Node. So it means it would be uncomfortable. And it's the sign of Leo. Fascinating. Very fascinating. Yeah, that's a really fascinating thing. Yeah, you heard the big sigh from me because in my mind as the astrologer, I'm thinking already the sign of Leo. The sign of Leo is a big deal when we look at the leadership in the United States chart. The leadership in the United States chart is the United States president is a Gemini birthday, but he is a Leo on the ascendant. Matter of fact, the president of the United States has Regulus, very, very powerful, like I am the king, on his ascendant, literally on his ascendant. And so it's fascinating that this Uranus and the full moon and a square where the United States is headed, yeah, wow, testing, stress, and tension. That was just a quick look at is anything squaring it on the United States chart. And there's nothing over there in Aquarius squaring it, okay? I want you to see where the transiting North Node is. That's important, okay? The transiting North Node, this is October 31st. By then, it's already on top of the United States Mars. Remember, this is our body, okay? This is our body. And it's in Gemini, right? And so lungs is a big issue here, okay? Lungs, talking, thinking, speaking, and acting, our actions, speaking, right? The way we communicate is with our actions. And remember, Mars is the fighter. Mars is the warrior. The North Node on top of Mars in Gemini. What's significant is what squares the North Node. What's squaring this is Neptune. If we look over to the square, 120 degrees away, it's Neptune in Pisces in the third house of the United States. Okay, remember what the third house? It's the third house. It means the same thing as Gemini. So it is the way you talk, the way you think, how you think, okay, your ability to communicate. Now, if this was a person's private chart, because this is a water sign, this is, Gemini, that third house, when we think of the physical body, okay, it shows, third house is oxygen because I can talk and relate, but it's also my lungs. And so water on the lungs, right? And we have Neptune squaring the North Node. So this is an indicator for this pandemic energy, for this virus energy, okay? And we see it on paper. So this is really good news in essence. I know it doesn't sound good, but it is good news because the North Node goes backwards and it'll get off of Mars. Mars is malefic by nature, okay? It's about inflammation. It's about, Mars is not real fun energy. And while the North Node is on top of Mars, the transiting Mars is going backwards, is retrograding, which means it's more powerful. So for those who have health issues, there's greater inflammation right now. Mars represents accidents, cuts, and bruises, right? It's also surgeries because it's cutting. Mars has knives, and that's the whole point about the surgery thing. And you feel a planet stronger when it's retrograding, which means that wherever it is in your natal chart, you're going to feel, Mars is going to be feeling stronger there as well. Okay, so whatever's going on by transit, it's directly connected to your natal planet. So in other words, your natal planet in your chart is feeling it's connected to the transiting planet. Transiting means the current location of that planet up in the sky. So it's Mars retrograding in the sign of Aries, the body retrograding, okay? And so inflammation, difficulties, but it can make people feel very empowered at the same time because that's what Mars is. It has this very anxious energy. It can be very impatient. So this would be you're more impatient. You have less patience. You're more irritable, right? And you want to take action and you want to do things when you want to do it. You don't want to wait. You're used to being at the front of the line. Aries is a leader energy. It wants to be in front. Okay, and so it triggers your natal Mars to be that way. And so the good news about all of that is that the North Node going backwards, because it normally always goes backwards, that's how it moves, it will get off of Mars. And when it gets off of and away from Mars, it will also get off and away from Neptune. But it's not going to happen right away. And also, when Neptune finishes its retrograde, meaning it's moving backwards, that will happen at the end of November. It's November 29th. Neptune is a very slow mover, okay? So literally that week before it stops, it's going to be really strong. And the North Node will then be at 20 degrees. So this will be at 18, right? You see right here, it's like at 18 and some change. It'll be at 18, it'll stop. But the North Node will be even closer. Right here, it's like at 20 and some change. Here, it'll be like at 19 and some change. So the square between the North Node and Neptune will be even tighter there at the end of November, okay? And it's significant because Neptune will be standing still. We're taking care of our health, folks. We're making sure we're washing hands. We're making sure we're social distancing. We're making sure that we're wearing the masks. I am just sharing with you the common sense of all of this. And that's what this is, okay? The common sense. And you also look in the United States chart. All right, there's so many factors that show why there's a lot of rebelliousness about this, right? Because we've got Mars in Aries, which is like, you're not going to tell me what I have to do. Okay, so someone recommending this, you know, we've got those who are like, hey, this is my home. You can't tell me what to do in my home. You're right. All I can do is share with you what I'm going to be doing. Okay, and seeing that the North Node squaring Neptune, and that North Node is still conjunct Mars, and lungs is represented in astrology, the lungs, your oxygen, right, being squared by water, right, and so that equals pneumonia, okay, cases of pneumonia likely higher, and yes, depending upon where you live in the world, it's just that season, it's just that time where cold and flu season come back, but we also have this that we're dealing with. Okay, we also have over 200,000 deaths in the United States. And there's a reason. And it's because the North Node and Mars are right here, and Neptune has been squaring them. But at the same time, Mercury is in the sign of Cancer for the United States. You see that? Mercury is in the sign of Cancer for the United States. Okay, and that 24 degrees mark is a big deal. It's a big deal because Mars has been messing around 20 degrees and 20 and 28 degrees. Mars has been spending a lot of time in this area, and this area squares this, squares the ability to think clearly, it squares the emotions, right? Because this is what the sign of Cancer is. It squares that mother energy, the empathy, the understanding. It's my ability to relate and communicate, to travel. Mercury is also my ability to travel, but to breathe and to talk. So there's lots of different points in the United States chart that show why there's this difficulty and why the United States is pandemic prone. And this is it right here. Right now, this is always in the United States birth chart. Neptune, its birth Neptune, squares its Mars in Gemini. This doesn't go away. But what happens is when other things move about in the chart, when the transiting things occur and they create a T square, right? When Neptune got to this degree, it started opposing, right? Opposite ends is the opposition. But at that same opposition was the square to this. So it created a giant T square. My thinking ability, my relating, my talking, my communicating, my neighbors, my siblings, my ability to breathe. Okay, that's what all this is, the lungs, okay? This is water over here, and this is water in earth squaring this, okay? So it's no wonder we can see very clearly why their thinking can at times be very muddied, right? Earth and water is mud. Water in the house of thinking and communicating, okay? There's a lot of factors in the United States chart. So I just wanted to point that out. And I got a question from Lou S. In February, we want to know when will the North Node no longer be squaring Neptune. When they get into a 3-degree orb instead of a 2-degree orb, that's when I can say, okay, we're in the all clear zone. And so that all clear zone is running roughly around the 3rd week of February is when we start clearing up. Yeah, it's halfway through the third week of February. So we're talking like February 18th, 19th, 20th, and then on. Okay, we get the North Node at 16 degrees and 44, and it's literally 3 degrees away because then Neptune's like at 1944. And then Neptune, once we hit the 23rd of February, Neptune is then at 20 degrees in Pisces. So then that means that, you know, it's starting to go to a 4-degree orb. And so once it's beyond a 2-degree orb, to me, that's nice. That's way better, okay? But I will not ignore the knowledge that I see here on paper, and I will be diligent with my best practices for my well-being. And with this knowledge, so too can you. As always, together we shall rise.